going to make a video. I think each person should be prepared for an EMP in the continental United States. And the reason why is that we're in an increasingly desperate proxy war with Russia and China. The Russo-Chinese alliance includes like Pakistan, Iran, North Korea, and just a number of other, nuclear powers. And a nuclear bomb has the ability to create what's called an EMP. Now, our ability to stock nuclear weapons is not effective, especially versus hypersonic. I believe that we'd be able to defeat both Russia and China in combat, which obviously is untested, but our military spending is allegedly more than the top five combined, according to people on YouTube. And the thing you should know is that we would not, allegedly, from what I've heard, I spent a lot of time listening to documentaries and people talking about stuff like this, but I don't think we'd be able to stop a nuclear strike of an EMP. And even if the continental United States was hit with an EMP, we would not have a very good time. And the reason why I say this is that there have been natural EMPs in the past, like where a solar flare would go, and I believe this was in the 1900s. It took down the Bell telephone lines, and it caused massive fires everywhere. An EMP would have a similar effect. Look around your house. Look at your computer. Look at your refrigerator. Look at your televisions. Look at your game systems. Look at your Google Homes and anything else that has a microchip and an electric connection. Your air conditioner. Your heater. Do you have a stove? Imagine all that were to start on fire. And imagine that when you look outside, the telephone wires were to start on fire. And the conductors were to start on fire. And your car were to no longer be functioning. And imagine all the cars on the highway were to stop functioning, and that all the EMP vehicles, like the emergency people, and the fire trucks, and the police cars would stop functioning. The grocery stores would stop cooling the food. What would you do in this situation? The fact of the matter is, you'd probably die. And so you need to have a plan in place for yourself and your family. You can't survive 30 days without water. You need to have at least water for 30 days. Presume you can survive that. There's a FEMA disaster kit. You can read on it on FEMA.gov, but it recommends all sorts of useful things, like having a crank-powered radio, which also would probably be destroyed in EMP. Having, enough water for about 30 days would be a very effective move. Having canned food and freeze-dried food would definitely help you. Having a way to cook that food, a compass, having lights, batteries, a first aid kit. These would all flares. They say to have plastic sheets and duct tape available. To have Ziploc bags to dispose of your bodily waste. Because if the sewage stops working, you're going to have somewhere to put your poop and your urine. So now, if you take all that into an account, most people need to have these things, and it would be a very good idea to do so. If an EMP were to happen, you almost need to have what's called a Faraday cage, which is a metal cage insulated by cardboard. It'd be in your best interest to do so. And the reason why you would have that is that if the electronics were all destroyed and you had food supplies, water, an ability to cook, and you had, like, let's say a radio, maybe a cell phone, and a few other electronic devices in a Faraday cage, these could theoretically survive. There's guides on YouTube on how to make them, but there's a high likelihood that we will face an EMP at some point, whether it be by a solar flare or by a nuclear weapon detonating in the atmosphere. There's chances that we will see stuff like that in our lifetime, and it's increasingly likely. During the Cold War, there were 6 admitted instances by the USSR and the USA where they said, hey, we almost caused the end of the world with nukes. There's more and more countries that have nuclear weapons, and many of them hate each other. India and Pakistan are two sides of the war. India's on our side, Pakistan's on the other, and they both have nuclear weapons. Israel and Iran also hate each other and have nuclear weapons. Iran isn't confirmed, but most people believe so. North Korea has nuclear weapons. They're not the peak of stability. France has nuclear weapons. The UK has nuclear weapons. Russia has nuclear weapons. China has nuclear weapons. The United States has nuclear weapons. And as this number continues to climb, we also have instances where nuclear weapons have been lost. Like even in the United States, I believe I was watching a video by Thoughty too, where they talked about 5 different nuclear weapons that were lost, specific ones. Russia, during its fall of the USSR, lost a number of nuclear weapons as well. The option of nuclear terrorism is extremely likely at some point in our lifetimes. Um, the southern border isn't exactly secure, so if someone were to bring a nuclear device over the southern border, it's not exactly like it wouldn't be prevented. So if someone were to detonate a nuclear device near a major city, and the power plants were to fail, even if you were out of range of the EMP, you'd probably be without utilities and power for several days. I don't know. I feel like everyone should have at least a FEMA disaster kit, 30 days worth of food and water, and the ability to dispose of their own waste. Maybe even a way to transport themselves around, like a bike or something. Something that isn't based on electronics, because what if you need to go somewhere? I feel like firearms are a necessity as well. I don't know if anyone will ever watch this, but I keep being right about a lot of things. Like I predicted the war in Ukraine. I predicted that we'd start fracking again. I predicted, um, you know, what else? I predicted that Turkey would allow Finland and Sweden into NATO, which I think anyone could have predicted that. That wasn't a hard one. I've also predicted that Republicans will win the midterms, and I predicted that in March. I think I'm right about many of these things. I'm off an M. But yeah, I don't know. If you can and you're watching this, I highly recommend making a FEMA disaster kit. In many ways, water is just as important as ammunition because you can't go 3 days without water. You'll die. Food you can go 30 days without, but you know, and having the ability to convert water into water tablets with like a lice straw or like water tablets and having the ability to actually filter water is very effective as well. So you could boil it and filter it, and guess what? You have not necessarily tasty water, but water that won't kill you. You can buy jugs of water from like a Kroger, Publix, Wegmans, Walmart. It's a highly good idea. If you have a large family, having a lot of water available is an extremely smart move. Obviously, I'm hoping I'm wrong, but I probably am not. God bless you.